Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video on the topic securitization. So, from now onwards, we will be discussing the concept of securitization and how does it work and who are the persons involved in the securitization process. This module will be a part and in a continuation of the mutual funds topic in which we will discuss different securitization and the types of securitization, its origin and history. So, what do you mean by securitization? In simple terms, securitization means it is the process of pooling and repackaging homogeneous illiquid financial assets and converting them into marketable securities which are sold to the investors. Okay, so illiquid financial assets means which are not liquid in nature. That means, for example, we can say about mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, etc. So these illiquid assets having same homogeneous characteristics will be bundled together or will be pooled and repackaged together and it will be sold to a particular investor so that that investor can buy the particular asset and give an amount to the person who sells it. This process is known as securitization process. Okay, so when we talk about a pool of asset or a group of asset, we refer to mortgages, car loans, credit card debt, home mortgage loans, auto loans, etc. So this pool of assets act as a collateral securities and these assets are generally secured by personal or real property. Okay, so the simple idea of securitization is the conversion of loans as well as we can call it as receivables. Loans and receivables into financial instruments to raise fund. So, securitization is defined as a carefully structured process whereby loans and other receivables are backed, underwritten, and sold in the form of securities backed by assets. So, in the process of securitization, there is an involvement of a number of parties who helps in the facilitation of this process. So in today's video, we will discuss about those parties in securitization who play a very important role in it. So mainly parties in securitization can be classified into two. One category is primary parties and the second category is other parties. So today we will discuss about primary parties who are involved in the securitization process. So we have the primary parties: 1. Originator, 2. Special purpose vehicle, and 3. Investors. So these three persons play a major role in the securitization process. So we will see each party one by one and their objective or their function in the securitization process. So first one is the originator. The originator is known as the initial owner of the asset. So in this, we take an example of loan. So in our example, loan is considered as an asset and the owner of this particular asset. So loan is an asset to financial institutions or bank or any big organization. So for example, we take in the case of bank. So for a bank, loan is an asset. Loan given is an asset. So this bank is the initial owner of the asset. So what is happening here is the bank, who is the initial owner of the asset, sells this particular asset or a pool of assets having homogeneous characteristic to another person so that they receive money, and with this money they can lend further. Okay. So originator is the initial owner of the asset. So it can be a bank, a financial institution, or any big organization. An originator is the prime mover of securitization process. So securitization process starts from the originator. So this particular originator identify the loans and receivables to form a basket or pool of asset for a purpose of securitization, keeping their homogeneous characteristics. So always remember they pool as a group of assets or a basket of assets having homogeneous characteristics for the purpose of securitization process. So homogeneous characteristics means in terms of the underlying asset or the maturity, the risk profile, etc. Okay. So it sells, this originator sells the assets on their books of records or books of accounts to a particular person. And when they sell these particular assets to that particular person, this originator receives a sum of money which they can use for further lending process. Okay. So that is the brief working or a brief function of originator in case of securitization process. He sells the asset to a particular person, that is known as SPV, of which we will discuss now. SPV is special purpose vehicle and receives fund for further lending. So this is the concept or idea behind the term originator. Okay. Then the second primary party involved in the securitization process is special purpose vehicle or SPV. So the special purpose vehicle helps in the facilitation of the securitization process. So the originator, I told you, the originator sells the homogeneous receivables to a particular person, and that particular person is SPV. Okay, so SPV mainly act as an intermediary between the originator and the investor. So SPV purchases that asset from the originator and then provide funds to the originator. Okay, that means they make payment to the originator. That payment is used by the originator for further lending process. Okay, so the main task or main function of special purpose vehicle is structuring the deal. That is the deal which we talked about which we talked right now. Okay, structuring the deal, then raising proceeds by issuing PTC. That is, PTC is pass through certificates. So pass through certificates are pass through certificates means it is a financial instrument which are issued under the securitization process. Okay, we will talk more about pass through certificates in the process of securitization. We have a process or mode of operation of securitization. There we will talk about PTCs. So remember, PTC is pass through certificates. Then arranging for payment of interest, etc. These are the main functions performed by the special purpose vehicle. Okay. So this special purpose vehicle, for the services they are rendering, they charge a servicing fee. So that is their main income. Okay, that is how they generate they make income. So the difference between interest rate payable by the obligor is a secondary party or other party in the securitization process, of which we will discuss in the next video. Okay, so difference between interest rate payable by the obligor and a return promised to the investor in pass-through certificates is the servicing fee for special purpose vehicle. So this concept will be clear to you once we discuss about the process of securitization. Okay, so that is the second primary party in securitization process, which is the special purpose vehicle. Then the third person or the third party in the securitization process is the investors. So investors can be anyone. It can be banks, it can be mutual funds or any other financial institutions who is buying this particular asset from whom, the special purpose vehicle, or indirectly from the originator. Okay, So they buy a participating interest in a pool of receivables. Interest means they have a particular interest in that. Okay. Then they receives payment in the form of interest and principal. So these investors invest their money in those assets, and as a result, they receives payment in the form of interest as well as in the form of principal, like in the case of any other asset. Okay. So in India, only qualified institutional buyers or QIB, we'll call it as QIB, are allowed to invest in the pass-through certificates. Okay, only qualified institutional buyers are allowed to invest in pass-through certificates. Okay, so these are the main three parties who are involved in the securitization process. First one is the originator, who is the initial owner of the asset. Then he is the prime mover of the securitization process, who identifies a basket of loans and receivables. Then second one is the special purpose vehicle. The special purpose vehicle is a party who facilitates the securitization process, and they provide fund to the originator. Then third one is the investor. They can be banks or any financial institutions, and they buy a participating interest in the pool of receivables. Okay. So remember, in India only qualified institutional buyers are allowed to invest in pass-through certificates. So these are the main primary parties involved in the securitization process. In the next video, we will discuss about the other parties who are involved in the securitization process, followed by the process of securitization. Okay, thank you.